What's up guys, it's Named Coyote here, and welcome back to Pikmin. Considering the release of Pikmin 3 Deluxe has passed already, and actually not that long ago, I figured I'd make a special Pikmin 3 video. So today I'm doing a challenge I've actually intended to do for a while now, that being a Pikmin 3 Pacifist run. I've seen Pacifist runs of Pikmin 2 and the original Pikmin here on YouTube, but for some reason I can't find anything on Pikmin 3. So, hey, why don't I do it? Quick, I'll explain the rules. Basically, no killing enemies except when absolutely necessary. Essentially, if an enemy is not required to be defeated to progress in the story, it stays. Now, since there are required enemies in the game, it isn't really a question of if we can beat Pikmin 3 without killing enemies. It's more of a question of how many enemies must we kill to beat Pikmin 3. So we'll be doing just that. I'm not using obvious glitches, but I am allowed to use some unintended shortcuts. Nothing like clipping through walls or getting unlimited Pikmin though. But other than that, pretty much everything's fair game. Now, this challenge poses a few problems. Number one, we can't defeat enemies, so anything that's in our way, we're just gonna have to go around. And hope we don't lose too many Pikmin in the process. Number two, we can't use enemy corpses to grow our Pikmin numbers, so we'll be riding the edge of Pikmin extinction throughout the entire challenge. Number three, we can't get loot that's inside enemies. This one's not huge, but it's still important to consider that fruits we normally get from defeating enemies won't be available to us in this playthrough. But that's about it, so let's get right into the challenge.
But as they initiate the landing sequence, something goes horribly wrong.
First up, we're on Charlie's crash site. We take control of Charlie, grab ourselves a temporary squad of Pikmin, and advance into this cave, where you might think we need to kill some enemies. But fortunately, we can just walk right past them and into the next passage, which automatically triggers the cutscene, showing Charlie's ambush by the Frostbat. So, let's move on to Alf's crash site. We free the red onion, and you'll immediately notice this box here that we can only push if we have 20 Pikmin. And since it's mandatory, there's no way around it. Even though I gather up all the pellets in the area, we only have 17 Pikmin still. So we have to turn to the harmless shear grubs. It pains me to say it, but we needed to take out 3 of the 4 of these shear grubs here to move on. So we leave one single shear grub to live out the rest of its happy life. So let's put 3 up there on the kill counter, shall we? Make sure you put your predictions down in the comments for how many enemies you think you need to kill to complete the game. I'd love to see how you guys think this plays out. And if you get the correct answer, I might just have to assume you cheated. I'm kidding. But anyway, we push this box out of the way, and Alf is scared of the dark, so we find the Drake, and we're up on out of here. It's the end of day 1. Time for day 2, and we land in the Garden of Hope. We need to put a bridge together to progress forward, and we can easily grab this first set of pieces. And even though there's just a dwarf bulborb in our way for the second set, he walks out of the way just in time for me to grab the pile from under his nose. We cross the newly completed bridge, and for now we're just gonna ignore the bulborb that's on the other side. We break down this wall, and this leads us into a cave where we can find the rock Pikmin, and sadly another required kill. The Medusal Slurker needs to go down in order for us to rescue the rockers, so add another to the kill count. The least we can do is not use its corpse for our otherworldly schemes. With my newly acquired rock Pikmin, I free Brittany and grab the lemon, but not really. I keep heading forward by these Scutter Chucks, but once we destroy their boulders with our rock Pikmin, they're gonna start doing a lot less chucking and a lot more scuttering. Then I build the bridge back to the Drake, since this whole path has been a giant circle, and after the bridge is built, I grab the strawberry sitting right there. The dwarf bulborb is easy enough to distract while they carry it back to the base. Then I do the exact same thing with the lemon. For the other strawberry on our path that you may have noticed I skipped, I try to distract the bulborb while they carry it past, and just narrowly they make it. That concludes day 2, and still no losses, though we have killed 4 enemies so far. That's not going to stop me though, so it's time for day 3. The day progresses as usual, and then I have an unfortunate encounter with the Armored Maudad, so that's a reset. Armored Maudad tried too, and boss fights are pretty standard in this run, so I guess I'll just skip to the end. Also, my controller died. Despite the unusually long time it takes, eventually the Armored Maudad is defeated, so add another 1 to the kill counter. He does give us access to the phone though, which I gladly carry back. I also grabbed the lime, and then day 3's over. It's day 4, and that means we're in the newly unlocked distant tundra, and thanks to Alf's subpar piloting skills, Brittany is stuck in a cave. Let's look on the bright side though, because now we have yellow Pikmin. I build up their numbers and escape the cave. While Brittany takes down an electric gate, Alf digs a hole on his side, allowing him to break the glass wall open and access the bridge pieces behind it. Since Pikmin AI is good, they go through the tunnel while carrying the pieces instead of this way with the joust mites. This just makes it that much easier. Brittany hands Alf over all her yellows, and in return she gets some rocks. Breaking this crystal, we can grab some more bridge pieces. Then I pull some sneaky moves by charging my Pikmin up this climbing stick, and then charge them out of fruit, bypassing this second captain roadblock. Honestly, this trick can be used to access a lot of unintentional things in the game. You'll see later. Back with Alf, we break down this electric gate and gain access to these bridge pieces. Then I throw all of my Pikmin over to Brittany's side because this is the part of the run that I've honestly been scared of. Over here there's some cannon beetles that can't kill but do annoy me pretty bad, and then there's the real threat, this whip-tongue Bulborb. But I have a strategy. Since hitting the Bulborb's eyes stuns them for a little, I alternate throwing at its eyes and at the bridge pieces. It seems like I lose Pikmin, but every time I manage to save them before he eats them, and we escape with the bridge pieces and no losses. With that, the bridge is completed. And this is absolutely insane, by the way. Pikmin are literally everywhere, and these cannon beetles are just throwing them around. Anyway, I take the snowman's hat, and then the day's over. We got a good haul today. Day 5, and I glitch a Skitterleaf. Pretty sure these guys have no boundaries on roaming, so they can go anywhere as long as there's no loading zone blocking their way. So on the wall by this crystal is completely legal. Moving onward though, it's time for the Phosbat fight. I turn on some lights and build some bridges until I'm able to turn the biggest of all lights on. The Phosbat resists, but ultimately he goes down for the count. And a side note, I don't take credit for all the baby Phosbats that just happen to die when exposed to sunlight. However, we need to add 1 to the kill count, so let's do that. Now we've got Charlie though, and that concludes day 5. 6 kills so far, and 1 very sad Pikmin death, who got snagged by the Phosbat when I wasn't looking. Now we're on day 6, so let's get to the tropical wilds. I grabbed this armor suit protection thingy, and this snitch bug gives us some trouble. Additionally, for some random reason, there's a single male shear grub on this stump where we throw the captains across, so we need to throw each Pikmin over individually, 1 by 1, and it's pretty annoying. On the other side though, we can push this box down, creating the path back to the Drake, for the rest of the crew to come up. This Bulborb, free to do whatever it wants, in its own will, decides to eat a bomb rock, with little to no motivation, so I did not kill him. Then, we find a lone cell phone in the center of a massive flat circle, so there's no way this is a boss arena. Wait, nope, it is. As usual, the fight against the Mere Slug is just about as eventful as it usually is, so we take it down and add another to the kill counter. He gives us the cell phone and a watermelon. How nice of him. After we carry them back, it's the end of day 7, and we've lost a few more Pikmin. Day 8, and we're able to go to the Twilight River, which is not the paradise you might imagine it to be. To start off, there's these dwarf bulwarks that guard the path to basically any place we need to go. Sooner or later, I figure out that the Pikmin are actually fast enough to not get eaten by these guys, so no precautions needed. There's also a Joustmite on the other side, but once again, Pikmin are just fine when passing by it. There's Wollywogs in the way too, but they're harmless since rock Pikmin are immune to being crushed. Bypassing all these enemies, I build a bridge over to the Winged Onion, and this means another required kill. The Arachnode needs to be taken down in order to get the Winged Onion free, so add another one to the kill counter. Fortunately, we have ourselves winged Pikmin now. The day ends, so the next day I return to lift the branch blocking the lily pads, but these Skitterleaves give me a bit of trouble. We manage though, and we get the transmission from Olimar, except that's not Olimar, and then I bomb a flower. Using the lily pads to travel over the river, here we've got to be careful, since there's arachnodes everywhere blocking our winged Pikmin from carrying things. So, better safe than sorry, and let's not use too many ringers here. Then, for the rest of the day, I collect various fruits, items, and pellets, including this fire thing. Then, I have to carry winged Pikmin under this web to grab pieces on the top, and have my spare captain distract the Scornets while my Pikmin do the important things, like finish off the bridge and destroy this wall. Then, these pieces under the clipboard we grab with red, since there's an arachnode. and that uses up day 9 and 10. In case you were wondering, here's my juice storage. Pretty much we're set for the rest of the game. Day 11, the bridge is already finished, so all we have to do is fight the Scorn and Maestro. The boss is laughably easy, and it's pretty amusing how Louie can't find a harder boss to get captured by. If you didn't know, the Scornets will always target your current captain, and once they lock on, you can just switch captains to a captain with Pikmin and take the Maestro down. It's so easy that they have a damage cap on each phase. This boss needs some improvement, and honestly, I hope they fix it in Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Anyway, the Scornet Maestro goes down, and for the record, I did not kill all those Scornets. The Maestro did, since it looked like it strummed the Give Up Now command as its last order. Anyway, that means we only need to add 1 to the kill counter. And we grab Louie in the sideways pair, and the day is over. The next morning, Louie's Louie, and he jumps off and goes to blow stuff up. This gives us access to the Blue Onion, and I rescue it from the clutches of a single sprout thing. Yay, Blue Pikmin. Obviously, we can't use enemy corpses to grow our numbers, so we're left with a somewhat unstable population of Blue Pikmin. Then, I use Wing Pikmin to build this brown bridge, partially, because they fly right over the heads of dwarf Bulborbs. In a random cave somewhere, we grab some grapes, and Alf takes a strawberry from behind a wall. The day goes by quickly, so let's move on to day 13. I finish the brown bridge with these pieces underwater, and then I do some overcomplicated stuff to get this weird orange thing. I have no idea what it is, but I use yellows to dig it, red to carry it halfway, and then wings to carry it over the Bulborbs. It was more effort than it was worth. Then I break this wall so I can use these pieces of the cup over here with some minor complications. Then I grab this fruit on the other side of the brown bridge, again with some minor complications. What am I kidding? Why does this enemy even exist? Then the only hindering mini-boss in the game guards the last pieces of the teacup, but I walk right past. I try to distract him with Alf, but then my Pikmin go the other direction. And this is a problem because there's a lot of fish in the other direction that keep eating my Pikmin. Luckily, none of the fish were killed, although we did lose a few Pikmin, and this one got really close to gone. That concludes day 13, and it's time to start the next day. I use the teacup we just built to cross the gap over to the new area, and I destroy the Aristocrab's claw since it can't actually hurt us without the claw. I build a bridge so the rest of my squad can come over, and now it's time to fight the Meyerclops. This fight might actually be the most difficult fight, maybe in all of Pikmin, but as always, there's nothing special in this fight that needs mentioning, besides the fact that I may or may not have lost 45 Pikmin. Regardless, we take the Meyerclops down, which means we add another to the kill counter. We recover Louie once again, and that means it's time for the final area, the formidable oak. Anyway, things are going just fine, and then Olimar gets captured, so that is a reset. Attempt 2, when I have my blue Pikmin carry Olimar, then I go for a little cheat move. The bag right here would normally be pushed down from the other side, making us go all the way around through enemies and obstacles to reach it. But instead of doing that, there's a technique where you throw a Pikmin onto the bag, then whistle them and immediately charge, and they'll actually go right over the top of the bag and push it from behind. Repeat this a few times and they drop the bag right on top of you, revealing a brand new shortcut. I'm fairly certain this works for any bag all across the game, so early Phospat fight, early second half of Twilight River, easy path to the Beer Slug, you name it. Anyway, with Olimar and Brittany, I'm just circling around this first section here. It's a strategy that always works if you remember to switch in time. Eventually, I push the bag down and build the bridge to the second section of the cave pretty easily. That means we can lead Olimar into the water and keep him safe until we get out of the maze. Not without getting the rest of the crew trapped, but that's okay, right? This boss is so weird. Anyway, the mysterious life form can't go in water, so we're all good to solve the rest of the oak. The funny thing about this area is that most of the enemies are easy to avoid or get killed by the mysterious life form. And the second section doesn't have any enemies at all. After we get out, it's time for the final boss fight. Not having many Pikmin, I take Charlie and his fearless team of 20 rocks to take on the most challenging fight of their lives. What am I kidding? This fight is a joke. It's pretty lame that the final boss can be cheesed by rock Pikmin, but hey, I'm not complaining. Except, I actually am. Then I bring yellow Pikmin in, and a lot of them die. But, finally, we take him down. And that means that we've completed the challenge. So exactly how many enemies must be killed to beat Pikmin 3? Well, counting the Plasm Wraith, 11. Honestly, since there's no reference point, I don't really know what this number means. So here's a chart of all the enemy kills in this playthrough. Scornet Maestro killed all the Scornets, so that's 100 kills. We get second most kills, and the Plasm Wraith took out 3 enemies. There was also a Wollywog I didn't mention who took out another Wollywog. Not sure how that's possible, but it happened. And let's not forget that Whip Tongue, who did in fact get a kill. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you put some suggestions down in the comments of more Pikmin challenges for me. Like I said, I've seen the first 2 Pikmin games done as fascist. Wow, that is nice. Like I said, I've seen the first 2 Pikmin games done as pacifist, but whatever you guys want, might as well throw it down below. Pikmin is one of my favorite franchises, and I can't wait to try out the new game. I probably won't get it right away, but soon enough, I promise. I noticed something like an expert mode, so maybe I could try that without killing enemies. Who knows? Whatever the case though, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more Pikmin, or really anything else. But that is all for now, so I thank you all so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all in the next one.